Recently, Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee got into a heated argument at ESPN. Since then, they have reconciled their differences, but there's still a big problem between Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. And it all comes from Stephen A. Smith. He is completely jealous of Pat McAfee. Don't believe me? Just watch this interview from the Bussin with the Boys podcast.
One thing I will never apologize for. I am about my money. I want to get paid. I ain't apologizing for that shit to anybody. Look at my resume. Look at what I've accomplished. Oh, make no mistake, I intend to get paid.
I know you got to leave, but obviously the competitive drive, and you talked about 2 billion views. You talked about being the man, #1 for 12 years. And you see ESPN making a pivot to McAfee. Obviously great for the network. How do you, in your mindset, view a guy like McAfee who is extremely good at his job, in a lot of ways is changing the course of mainstream media and all those things from a competitive standpoint and also as a partner?
I am an aberration in this regard. I love Pat McAfee.
He's a man.
Love him to death. Love him to death. Now, is he as polished politically as me? Nope. Because he has no desire to be, #1. And #2, if we're being honest, he's white and I'm black. He didn't have to be. I had to be. Don't get it twisted. I love Pat. Pat knows that. I'm rooting for him. I'll help him any way I can help him. But we know who #1 in linear television is. Ain't no backseat. He's been #1 for 12 years. People come. People go. But there's a top perch. Since 2012, it's been me. With Skip Bayless, without him. With Max Kellerman, without him. It don't matter. I come to win. And when it comes to linear television, that's exactly what the fuck I have done. And so my attitude is, as long as I'm doing it, I'm going to continue to win. McAfee or no McAfee. It don't matter who it is. FS1, Comcast, whatever. You come for me, I'm coming for you.
Stephen A. would then double down on his own podcast.
Did you expect me to apologize for that? I want to talk about Pat McAfee. He was the example because they were asking me about Pat McAfee being at ESPN. Let me be very, very clear about where I stand. That's not about Pat McAfee. That's about anybody white. The rules are different for us. The rules are different for black people. Any white person that wants to deny that, be my guest. There is history spanning decades that proves such a thing.
I'm not trying to discredit anything Stephen A. has accomplished. He has worked very hard to get where he is. But for him to dismiss Skip Bayless, the guy that got him on First Take, and Max Kellerman, is completely ridiculous.
With Skip Bayless, without him. With Max Kellerman, without him. It don't matter.
Not only that, but Stephen A. claiming that he's #1 is completely ignoring the impact that ESPN has. If Skip Bayless stayed on First Take and Stephen A. Smith left, they would still be #1. And if Shannon Sharpe took over First Take, do you really think they would stop being #1? My point is, Stephen A. Smith himself is not #1. He's a personality on the #1 show. They have the biggest platform, the best producers. Stephen A. Smith is an employee. Pat McAfee runs his own show. He has his own crew. It's completely different. And this isn't the first time Stephen A.'s been jealous of a colleague. When Shannon Sharpe dropped that Cat Williams interview that got like 60 million views, Stephen A. went on his own podcast and had a lot of problems with that interview and even critiqued Shannon Sharpe. Stephen A. also claimed that he saved Shannon Sharpe after he got let go from FS1.
He didn't want to leave. He was notified that your services would no longer be needed. I saw me from the standpoint of I was let go in 2009 and left for dead. Stephen A.'s career is over. He blew it. He had the opportunity of a lifetime. He effed it up and blah, blah, blah. And I said, this is why I'm here.
The guy already had a deal with The Volume and was already looking at multiple offers, including from Barstool. Stephen A. is letting his ego get the best of him. He's tearing down others and hating on their success while propping up himself. It's okay to be competitive as long as you're respectful. And I think the reason why him and Pat McAfee got into that heated argument is because Stephen A. keeps disrespecting Pat McAfee. But that's just what I think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee getting into a heated argument at ESPN. And don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more content just like this. And I will see you in the next upload.